Did you know you could use a food label to eat healthier?
Hello, my name is Kimberly, and I'm a volunteer with the National Council of Jewish Women Greater Dallas section. Specifically, I'm involved with a program called Food+Fit equals Fun, and today I'm going to share a lesson with you from our program. Food+Fit equals Fun is a healthy living program taught by volunteers like me. We focus on nutritional information, we teach healthy recipes, and we teach fun physical exercises with the goal to combat obesity. And we also want our participants to learn to live a healthy lifestyle. So let's begin. Today's lesson is called Using Food Labels to Eat Healthier. The nutrition label on food packages is your roadmap and guide for choosing healthy foods. Every packaged food has a nutrition label. And here's ours. Here's a giant version of the nutrition label, which is found on all packaged foods. So I'm just showing you on some examples of real food. Here's some Cheerios. Nutrition label on beans. Today we are going to focus on 10 items. The first one are ingredients. The ingredients are located at the bottom of the food label. So for example, here with the Cheerios, again, here are your ingredients. Even on a little power bar, here are your ingredients. You read this to find out what items are in your food. Items are listed by weight, so there'll be more of the first product listed first. For example, in the beans, the very first ingredient are beans, which is what you want. The second thing that you know when you're reading the ingredients are looking for food to avoid. If you have food allergies, if you have peanut allergies, soy, wheat, gluten, that will be listed on your food box on the nutrition label. So if you're allergic to peanuts and you want some snacks, you need to read the ingredients that are in the snack and see if there are nuts. If there are, then you will not choose that one. You can also look for the ingredients in your dog food. So like the first ingredient here says chicken, so I know that that's something that would be healthy for my pet. Things to avoid are words that end in OSE. That's another word for sugar. So in this protein bar, the very first ingredient is high fructose corn syrup, which means there's more corn syrup, which is a food additive, a sugar additive, than anything else. So this would probably be something that you want to think about before you buy it. Another thing to look for are hard to pronounce words like monosodium glutamate, which is another food additive. I would avoid foods that have words that you cannot pronounce. The next item we're going to discuss on the nutrition label are the serving size. The serving size is at the top of the nutrition label, and it tells you how many servings there are in the entire package. The individual information is based on one serving size. So for example, there are 16 servings in this entire jar of peanuts, but the information is based on one serving. One serving equals 35 pieces of the peanut. Another example, there are 10 servings in this bag, and here's one serving. So if you eat the entire bag, you're going to have to double, triple, quadruple, whatever the amount of servings that you're eating as far as fat, sugar, sodium. So be careful, be mindful of that. Another thing, this is a little bitty pint of ice cream, but there are 3 servings in here. So if you eat the entire thing, then the fat content and sugar content and calorie content triples. The next item we're going to discuss on the nutrition label are calories. Calories are located under the serving size. And I'm going to use the same examples that I used when we were talking about serving size. The average adult should have 2,000 calories a day, and children can have between 1,400 and 1,600 depending upon how active they are. Calories in the nutrition label are listed for one serving. So as we discussed, there are 16 servings in this jar of peanuts. One serving are 35 pieces. 35 pieces equal 170 calories. But if you were to eat the entire jar of peanuts, that is 2,720 calories, just in this jar of peanuts, which is more than you need for the entire day. Likewise, this is a serving size for some chocolate. If you eat the entire bag, you're eating 2,600 calories. The next item to discuss on the nutrition label are fats. Fats are located under the calories, and they are under the fat is saturated fat and trans fat. You want a small percentage of saturated fat. You really do not want to eat anything that has trans fat in it. Trans fats are bad for you. They have negative health benefits. Foods like frozen French fries, frozen pizzas, those are foods that are high in trans fat. It's just not good for your body. Also, if you look on the right side, this is the percentage of fat that you have in your daily value of fat. The great thing about the grocery store are there are a lot of options for choosing lower fat items. Whole milk has 8 grams of fat, but there's a 2% option that has 5 grams of fat. The same is true for cottage cheese. There's a lower fat option. The same is true for beans. There's a low fat option. Well, I'm not saying not to eat fat, because we all love a good helping of mac and cheese. I know that I do. But if you look at the Stouffer's frozen, this one per serving has 16 grams of fat versus another option of mac and cheese, which you make yourself. The Kraft version has 2.5 grams of fat. So if you're choosing and you want to be healthier, this is probably your better option. Also, when you're cooking, sometimes, I love to cook with butter, but a better option would probably be cooking with olive oil. This is a good fat. The next item we're going to discuss on the nutrition label is sodium. Sodium is a fancy word for salt, and it is located under the fats. So sodium is shown in milligrams, mg, and on the side is the percentage. Too much salt can cause high blood pressure, heart disease, and kidney disease. The milligram per serving should be no more than 2,300 milligrams a day. That is 1 teaspoon of salt. Let me just show you the amount of salt that an adult should have, actually in a day, 1 teaspoon. That is it. There's a lot of foods, though, that have a lot of salt in it that we don't even know about. Ramen noodle soup. You would think soup is good for you, and it is good for you, but the total amount of salt, if you look at the nutrition label, sodium, in 1 serving, there are 790 milligrams. If you have the entire package of soup, 1,600 milligrams. That's a lot of salt. That's almost your entire serving of salt for the day. There's also salt found in other foods. It's a little tricky. Ketchup has sodium in it. And believe it or not, green beans. So a trick, because in this package, the sodium in these green beans, there are 380 milligrams of sodium. So if you want green beans, you can rinse it before you cook it, and that reduces the amount of salt. The grocery store is awesome because there are lower sodium options. So for these beans, here's the beans, here's the exact same version with a reduced sodium. The next item on the nutrition label that we're going to discuss are carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are under sodium. Carbohydrates are your body's main source of energy. They fuel your brain, your kidneys, your heart, your muscles, and your central nervous system. Fiber is a carbohydrate that we're going to discuss next. It helps your digestion, helps you feel full, and keeps your blood cholesterol levels in check. It's very important for us to get carbohydrates in our diet. There are good carbohydrates, which are unrefined, such as brown rice, quinoa, lentils, and there are refined, such as white rice, white bread, and plain pasta. When you can choose, try to choose unrefined carbohydrates. The next item we're going to discuss on the nutrition label is part of the carbohydrates, fiber. Your dietary fiber is very important, and it can be found in many of the items that we use for carbohydrates. Fiber is very important to help keep your digestion working. It's a broom for your intestines, and it can help reduce the risk of diseases like heart disease, high blood pressure, and some types of cancer. So it's very important to choose foods with a high fiber count. Some examples, we've talked about it before, beans are high in fiber, black beans, brown rice, quinoa, cereals, lentils, and even popcorn. Seeds and nuts, fruits and vegetables are also good sources of fiber. The next item we're going to discuss on the nutrition label is sugar. Sugar is a carbohydrate, and it is found under the carbohydrate section. Sugars are shown in grams, and there's also on this nutrition label, it'll show if there are added sugars. We want to keep sugar at a minimum. Sugar causes weight gain. It may increase the risk of heart disease. It may increase the risk of type 2 diabetes. It may increase the risk of cancer, and it decreases your energy. Try to choose products that are low in sugar or have no sugar added. Remember the OSE words, dextrose, sucrose, lactose, high fructose corn syrup, like we saw in our nutrition bar. Those are foods that we need to make sure to avoid. We all love Coca-Cola, or I know that I love Coca-Cola. Coke has 55 grams of sugar. There are many cereals that are high in sugar. Sports drinks are high in sugar. When you can choose, water is your best drink. And truly, if you can choose, natural sugars are always the best, like the sugars in fruits, grapes, strawberries. It's a great way of getting your sugar. The next item on our nutrition label that we're going to discuss is protein. Protein is listed under the carbohydrates, and this is very important. Protein builds and maintains our muscles, organs, immune system. Protein fights infections and helps heal wounds. It is so important that we have a diet that is rich in protein. The recommended dietary allowance, grams of protein per day, for men is 56 grams, women 46 grams, boys ages 14 to 18, 52 grams, girls 46 grams, and children between 34 grams and the younger they are, 13 grams. Protein is found in many of our foods. You can get protein in sardines, tuna fish, beans, dairy foods such as eggs, milk, cheese, cottage cheese, yogurt, and peanut butter. The final item that we're going to discuss today on our nutrition label are vitamins, found at the bottom of the nutrition label. Foods that are rich in vitamins, such as vitamin A, D, and calcium, are very important for our bodies. Examples of vitamin-rich foods are eggs and milk. Basically, the higher the vitamin content, the better. Thank you so much for your time today as we discuss the nutrition label. Hopefully you learned something new, and next time you go to the grocery store, you'll be able to read the nutrition label and choose healthy options for you and for your family. Don't forget, Food+Fit equals fun.
The handout for this lesson is available in English and in Spanish on the Facebook group Food+Fit equal fun or www.ncjwdallas.org.